So it is really good to be together this morning. And as I put in the chat, we had about 40 people in worship in the backyard this morning. So that was really exciting. And we had a packet of kids. So we had kids. We had a very, very pregnant woman who we were celebrating this morning. As Leah and Julie and Juniper prepare to welcome a new child into their life, it was quite a time in the backyard. I'm going to share in a minute a little clip of our grads from this morning. First, I'm going to mention those who aren't, we're celebrating in absentia today. Then I'll share a clip of our grads from this morning, and then we want to celebrate several of our grads who are on Zoom with us this morning. And I will also invite us to, whether you know these grads who are with you this morning or not, when the time comes, I'll invite you to think about offering words of appreciation or words of blessing, and you'll be able to do that in the chat or out loud when the time comes. So I do want to begin this time, though, with a reading and our scripture reading for this morning. As we prepare to celebrate graduates, we also notice that we are all, each of us in our own ways, at a threshold, which is what graduation is. It's a passage, it's a threshold, it's a crossing from one thing into the next. Sometimes those thresholds are very discernible and very obvious and very clear, like graduations or rites of passage that come with rituals and celebrations and words and symbols and music. And sometimes those thresholds, we may not even notice that we are at a threshold, approaching one, or crossing over. We are all at thresholds in our lives, changing, aging, our bodies, our spirits, our relationships, the work we do, the commitments that we make, our emotional experiences. We'll hear in our psalm the whole range of experiences that we have. From terror and rage and fury to joy and dancing and wild celebration. And we know that all of that, whatever it is held by God. And we'll hear that in our psalm. But first, I would like to share a blessing for thresholds. And this is a special blessing for our graduates, but it's also a blessing for each of us as we all stand at a threshold, and certainly as not only a country but as a world, as the entire planet, we are at a threshold, moving from one thing which we've never known to something that we cannot know. So we honor those many thresholds in our lives where we are, and this is a blessing for those. Blessing of the Threshold by Jan Richardson. This blessing has been waiting for you for a long time. While you have been making your way here, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, biding its time, praying. This blessing has been polishing the door, oiling the hinges, sweeping the steps, lighting candles in the windows. This blessing has been setting the table as it hums a tune from an old song it knows, something about a spiraling road and bread and grace. All this time, it has kept an eye on the horizon, watching, keeping vigil, hardly aware of how it was leaning itself in your direction. And now that you are here, this blessing can hardly believe its good fortune that you have finally arrived, that it can drop everything at last to fling its arms wide to you, crying, "Welcome, welcome, welcome." A blessing for the thresholds, and also I hear that as the voice of the Spirit, the Holy One, the Divine, as it ushers us from one threshold to the next, always welcoming us, always accompanying us. The lectionary text, our Bible reading for today, comes from the 30th Psalm. I give you all the credit, God. You got me out of that mess. You didn't let my foes gloat. God, my God, I yelled for help and you healed me. You put me back together. God, you pulled me from the grave, gave me another chance at life when I was down and out. All the saints Sing your hearts out to God, thank her to her face. They get angry once in a while, but across a lifetime, there is only love. Weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes in the morning. The nights of crying your eyes out give way to days of laughter. When things were growing great, I crowed, I've got it made, God has made me a strong mountain. Then you hid your face and I fell to pieces. I called out to you, God, I laid my case before you. Hear me, O God, be gracious to me. Help me out of this. You did it. You changed wild lament into whirling dance. You turned my mourning into dancing. You took away my clothes of grief and clothed me with joy. I'm about to burst with song. I cannot be silent. God, my God, I will give thanks to you forever. This is God's good news. So we are noticing the thresholds in our own lives, the ways in which we are held and accompanied, and we especially want to honor and celebrate our graduates. We are, I'm gonna name some of the folks that we are celebrating in absentia today, and then I'll talk about the ones who were with us in the yard, and then we're gonna talk about those of you who are here with us this morning. There we go. There are several people who were not able to be with us this morning, but some of whom are children of this church and connected to us. And those people that we are remembering this morning are Allison Clank, who's the daughter of Patty Fleetwood, who's graduated from Temple University. We are remembering and celebrating Shelby Wiseman, who grew up as a youth in this church. Went on the famous and epic youth group trip out to the West several years ago, and has offered his gifts over time, and he also has just graduated from Temple University. We're honoring and celebrating Peter Bixler, who was a child in this church and spent time on the steps like all the other children do, and has just graduated from Tufts University. We are also celebrating Harrison Kaiser, who graduated last year but didn't get the accolades and celebration due then because it was just the beginning of a pandemic, and he had completed his master's at Tufts University as well. In the backyard this morning, we're also remembering my daughter, Sarah Noonan, who has completed her associates from Delaware Community College and is close to finishing her bachelor's at Temple, and we're celebrating and honoring her this morning as well. The people that we honored in the backyard this morning were 4. We celebrated and honored Anaya Tennant and Nick Sedacian and Nathan Sedacian and Chloe Clementi. And I'm going to share a brief video of that, and you can hear what their plans are. And then after we do that, we're going to welcome and bring forward each of those graduates who are with us on Zoom this morning. I want to invite our graduates that we're celebrating today to come up and stand with us. Right, get those instruments going. Okay, this is a really special day, and this is happening in installments today. So there are 4 graduates here with us today. We're celebrating about 9 others that aren't here with us now. And I want to tell you who those are. Some of them will be joining us at Zoom in just a few minutes. And some of us we're celebrating in absentia, and they're all going to be getting a gift from all of us. The people that are not here today are, make sure I don't leave anybody out. At 10 o'clock, we're celebrating Nora Burrows, who's graduating from high school. If you've been around church, you may remember Nora has a mighty voice. She's sung for us and with us in church. She's graduating from high school, working on her associates. She's going to be doing some freelance artwork while she figures out where she wants to finish her bachelor's. She'll be on Zoom with us at 10. Also joining us at 10 o'clock will be Ruby Johnston. Ruby's been around a little bit. I have a special relationship to Ruby. She's my daughter-in-love. She lives in our home and is my daughter Sarah's partner, and Ruby has just graduated from Penn State and getting ready to do a master's in communications at Penn State next year. Hannah and Ian Ingebretson are not here this morning. They may be joining us on Zoom. They have both just finished their masters, so that is a very big deal. We're so excited about that. Also, we're celebrating today in absentia Allison Clank, who just graduated from Temple. That's Patty Fleetwood's daughter. Peter Bixler, Al Bixler and Leslie Cheeseman's son, just graduated from Tufts, I believe. Tufts, correct?
Yes.
Tufts, yes. Also a Tufts graduate who didn't get a big party last year, so we're just going to celebrate him this year, as Harrison Kaiser, who got his master's, right, last spring from Tufts also. We're also celebrating Sarah, my daughter, who just finished her associates and will be finishing her bachelor's at Temple, and Shelby Wiseman, who also just graduated from Temple University. So we celebrate them, and if you have a chance to meet or see them, we hope you'll congratulate them. We'll be also celebrating them on Zoom. But who we have in the flesh, in person, we have Anaya Tennant, and Nick Sedacian, and Nathan Sedacian, and Chloe Clementi. I'm going to invite each of them to just say a word about what they're doing next, or any thoughts that they want to share with us today, and then I'll give us a chance to offer them appreciations or blessings. So whether you know them or not, or know them well or not, after they share, we'll just take a couple minutes and field from all of us here some words of blessing or appreciation as they cross this threshold that they're at right now. So I wonder if we could just go down the line, and Anaya, you can each say whatever you would like.
Okay, in the fall, I am going to Prague to study at a school called Anglo-American
Yeah, what's that? University? Yeah, Anglo-American University in Prague.
Yeah, and I'm studying like just pretty general things, and then hopefully I'll have a better sense of what's happening later on.
Very wise. So one leaving the country. Very exciting.
Hello, my name is Nick. I will be studying at Elon University in North Carolina next year. I hope to be studying something along the lines of political science, hoping to establish a law career, to hopefully improve this country's legal justice system and help people of marginalized communities. I'm Nathan. I'm going to Northeastern University, where I'm going to be studying international relations, and I want to create more peace in this world.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I am graduating with my Master's of Occupational Therapy, so I'll be finishing that up this summer, and I don't really know where I'm going to go from here yet. I don't necessarily know where I want to work or what area I want to work in, but I just know that this summer I'll be studying to take my board exam in the fall at some point, and then we'll see what happens. I'm kind of open to whatever comes my way and whatever opportunities are there. So that's what I'll be doing. But also about like the church community, I have been here since I was baptized here as a baby and have been coming here. So just want to say I'm always grateful for this community and everyone who's always supported me and encouraged me through my way. So thank you.
So Chloe, you've been here since you were a little baby.
Yeah.
And guys, you started coming when you were
Like 6.
about 6 years old.
It's
About 6 years old. So you got to spend a little time on the steps? A little time on the steps? Cool, you spent a lot of time on the steps with our time with children. And Anaya, you were like what, middle school? Yeah, since middle school. So a nice range. And some of the kids that are graduating that are not here with us have been here since they were children. They are children of our church, and we claim them all, but some of them really have been here since they were very little, and this is the community that they've known since they were very, very young. So we're so excited for each of you. So Prague, North Carolina, Boston.
Who knows?
In God's hands. In God's hands. Awesome. So before we So that was a wonderful celebration this morning of those 4 graduates. And this morning, I think we've got 4 more in the room. And so I want to make some space this morning for Nora Burrows, Ruby Johnston, and Hannah and Ian Ingebretson. And we are so excited that you're all here and so grateful that you got up early and got on Zoom on this summer morning to be with us. So I'm going to actually invite you up in this order and invite you just to say anything you want about, you know, what you just graduated from and what's next for you, and just any thoughts that you want to share with us. And then we're going to just celebrate you with a blessing and offer any words of appreciation. So Nora, I wonder if I can ask you to come up first. And the floor is yours.
Oh, great. I just graduated from high school at the beginning of June, and I have about 15 credits left of my associates, so I'll be finishing that up over the course of the year. And I'm probably going to be moving out of state by around this time next year. I'm probably going to be moving to Connecticut and continuing and starting on my new journey there and deciding what I want to go to school for. But I'm still very undecided about what I want to do with my life, and I have time to decide that. So that's sort of my general plan right now. But I want to thank Chuck for the sort of space it's given me, because I was able to explore a lot of parts of my spirituality and parts of my faith that I don't know if I necessarily would have had the chance to if I had been somewhere else. And there was definitely a level of like there's a social moment with church that you can't really find anywhere else. So it's a very special place, and I very much appreciate all of the love and all the support that everyone there has given me, because it's had an impact on me as a person. So thank you.
Oh, Nora, that's wonderful. Just in case anybody's like just joining us this morning and wondering, or people that have been around for a while being like, Chuck, who's Chuck? Was that like a pastor that I missed? Or I think for folk who didn't catch that reference, I think you were using the abbreviation for church. Is that right? Cool. Cool. We are so grateful for you, and I have special appreciation for just the way you have just kind of given yourself, both kind of in the youth group. You've shared your voice with us in the sanctuary, which this person in front of you has a powerhouse voice. And I hope that we can hear you sing some more in person before too long. And I'm so deeply appreciative for your gifts. And so grateful that we can celebrate you this morning. So don't go away. Hang out here while we get to hear from a couple other folks, and then we'll do a blessing for everyone here. Let me see. Okay, great. So I wonder, actually, Ruby, could I invite you to the floor?
Yeah.
And I'm going to just let you for a second if you're okay with that. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ruby. You probably haven't seen me around too often. I live in Linda's home, so I'm not always at church, but Linda is church, so I'm very familiar with how everything works and who all of you are. I just graduated from Penn State in May. I'm returning to do my master's in 2022. And I would like to thank the community for keeping Linda strong. She has been a huge inspiration for me. As you all know, she's doing her PhD right now. So both parents in this household have higher education experience, master's, PhD, which has also been very encouraging. And it's nice to see the way that you work and follow in your footsteps. So thank you for that.
Oh, Ruby, thanks. And Ruby's often been on Zoom Church in the background. Often you've read for us along with Sarah and shared your voice and shared your gifts with the church. There have been times you've been at church and hung out with the kids. I am just so deeply grateful for you in so many ways. One of the things Ruby is, one of the ways Ruby's using her gifts right now is by growing food and tending the earth. And I'm really grateful for the ways in which I see you grow things and the way in which you are also growing. And it's a real joy to be able to celebrate you within the context of church this morning. So thank you so much for being here this morning. So stay close by. And then, so we just celebrated Nora graduating from high school and Ruby graduating from college. And then we have two other powerhouses who are finishing or finished their masters this summer. So I see Hannah. So are you both together, or is it just you right now? Is Ian?
Ian is inside.
Okay. All right.
Like getting ready with his family. We're in Minnesota right now, so it's also another hour earlier for us. So it was in a transition. We were up at 3 a.m. yesterday to get here, so it's been a wild day and a half. But Ian finished his certification or certificate for accounting from CCP last fall, and then he right away got a job with Baker Tilly doing accounting. So that is what he's doing right now with his certificate, and he's studying for his CPA exam. So within like the next year or two, that is what he is going to be working on. And then I graduate this summer. I have one more course left from Drexel in teaching, learning, and curriculum with an emphasis in educational policy. So and having a master's will allow me to keep my job as a teacher. So that is what I will be doing, just staying in the classroom.
Oh, Hannah, thanks. I'm just feeling whatever fatigue you might be carrying with you. And it just talk about thresholds, right? I mean, and also returning home. We're so glad that you could be with us this morning. Thanks for signing on, and please give Ian our love. Both you and Ian just have contributed so much to church, just countless ways. Just concrete support, helping us kind of make Zoom Church possible, commitment to the environment, commitment to our kids as youth leaders. There's just so much that we're grateful for. Thanks so much for being with us, and we're really excited that we can honor and celebrate you this morning. So as we hold these four incredible human beings before you, if you have just a brief word that you want to put in the chat, a word of appreciation for them, or just a word of blessing, even if you've never met them and you don't know them, and just have a blessing that you want to offer them at this threshold in their life, I invite you to kind of share that in the chat or raise your hand. And from Care, so grateful for all the gifts that you each bring and share, and for the ways that you show up in the world. Yeah, showing up in the world is what it is all about. Blessings from Ruth on your journey, all of you. Well, no, Ruby and Nora, and from Joe, young people give us such hope for the future. Yeah, I mean, if we are in the hands of Nora and Ruby and Hannah and Ian, I think we're in great shape. So As we get ready to move into our time of prayer, Hannah and Ian and Ruby and Nora, please receive this blessing. And everyone else, even though we're on Zoom, I invite you to reach out your hands. I really firmly believe that what comes from our hearts and our spirits can move across time and space. So Nora and Ruby and Hannah and Ian, please feel this love that we have for you. Feel and notice and see if you can connect with the love that we sent you from the backyard just an hour ago. 40 people, 80 hands outstretched, giving thanks for you each and for the ways in which your journeys have brought you into connection with this community, this scrappy little church. We give you thanks for the ways in which you have shared your gifts and offered yourself, for the ways in which we get to see you and follow you and learn from you. Receive this blessing. Oh, Holy One, Spirit of love and of life, we give you thanks for Nora and Ruby and Hannah and Ian, for all of our graduates. We give you thanks for the ways in which you have occupied their spirits and accompanied them on their journeys. We give you thanks for the ways in which around them have been drawn creatures and the earth, people who love them, and ancestors and those who have gone before them. Accompany and surround them now as they each stand on a threshold and move into what's next. We give you thanks for the ways in which your image is so deeply and thoroughly and incredibly beautifully etched into each one of these people. For Nora and Ruby and Hannah and Ian and all our graduates, we give you thanks. Amen.